When Her Excellency became President 2 years ago, she set up as one of her first things the President's Foundation for the Wellbeing of Society. I'm really looking forward to hearing from her about the Foundation and in particular any challenges she faced then or faces now in promoting wellbeing across an entire population. Your Excellency.
Thank you, Gabrielle. Good evening, everyone, dear friends. The topic of this panel discussion, Politics of Wellbeing, opens a space for us to consider the roles and responsibilities we each have in promoting and safeguarding well-being within our communities and countries. The range of possible activities to achieve this goal is vast and varies enormously from context to context. I shall offer some thoughts about the strategies for well-being developed in Malta, particularly through the work of my Foundation for the Wellbeing of Society. As an entity falling under the presidency, the Foundation has a unique role in Maltese society. It is capable of reaching beyond the lines drawn by political ideology, faith tradition, or socio-cultural background. The Foundation invites people from all walks of life to come together and explore what well-being means in their lives. Over the past 2 years, we have engaged with thousands of people from diverse organizations, communities, and groups. By talking about aspects of well-being through the Foundation's many consultative fora, we have identified several key themes that emerge time and again. These primarily include the central role of nurturing relationships, the importance of health and access to healthcare, the security that comes along with dignified employment opportunities and an adequate standard of living, and the urgency which people feel in protecting their natural environment. The work of the Foundation recognizes that these themes are enmeshed in larger concerns. We aim to create a universal culture of peace and well-being. Addressing our concerns and challenges is essential to build such a culture. The most serious impediments to human well-being elicited by participants in our consultations is to achieve an underlying change, a change that runs deeper than the simple elimination of deprivation or ignorance. From the experience achieved by the Foundation, it is evident that there is a most vital need to promote and sustain positive values that will counteract the narratives of hopelessness and division that disrupt the well-being of our societies. Our much-needed positive values include physical security and standard of living, and material necessities like identity, autonomy, and human development. Unfortunately, it is when these needs go unsatisfied that the achievement of society's sustainable well-being is impeded. It is worrying to realize that the basic needs which underpin well-being remain unmet for many individuals and communities. It is not only in the so-called failed states or developing nations, but even in richer and more stable countries that this situation occurs. At the root of these hardships is the existence of socio-economic, political, and cultural systems that themselves dispossess and alienate broad sectors of society. Systems that restrict access to economic prosperity, adequate healthcare, political participation, and the appreciation of how important relationships are in building a sustainable culture of peace. Systems that produce unease and violence, diminish well-being, and directly impede the effective implementation of our strategies for well-being. To transform these systems successfully, we must bring the affected parties themselves to the table. For this reason, the work of my foundation is rooted in the lived experiences of the individuals, communities, and groups with whom we enter into dialogue. We must be committed to valorize the voices of those who endure the pressures of inequality, of alienation, and of oppression. It is through their lived experiences that a politics of well-being will be capable of transforming society from within. As my foundation's consultations continue, the idea of well-being keeps growing as a valuable concept of practical relevance in the lives of the people of Malta and Gozo. People are more aware of well-being and have begun to call for its inclusion as an important topic on the national agenda. Through these studies carried out by the Foundation's research entities, we are in a position to offer concrete recommendations about the focus of our research on well-being and how it should feature in legislation, policy, and practice. Investment in the well-being of our communities and societies must be spearheaded by the efforts of our governments as part of a state's responsibility towards its people. Civil society has a crucial role in holding our leaders and policymakers accountable for the well-being, for the way well-being features in, for example, a country's budget and how its policies manifest that commitment. Another example is if governments truly believe that relationships are a core component in human well-being, then efforts must be made to invest in strengthening those relationships. All countries must be in a position to work together towards strategies for well-being in a concerted effort that incorporates the participation of civil society alongside governments. We must work within and among our countries in a sustained and peace-oriented dialogue. At this point, several pertinent questions come to mind. Allow me to ask, what can we do to alter oppressive systems within our societies that hinder well-being? How can we shift our focus to the safeguarding of peace and well-being for our communities? How can we make changes that are significant and not merely reformist? How can these changes be non-violent rather than destructive? In conclusion, let me summarize 3 key steps which guide the journey of my foundation for the well-being of society. First, we are committed to a system-based analysis of the structural sources, which are often not visible, at the root of social violence, discrimination, and oppression within society. Second, we are committed to coming together to think of ways of redesigning these systems. Third, we are committed to facilitating a politics of well-being that is able to engage with the grassroots experiences of individuals, incorporating bottom-up and top-down approaches. The world is now, I believe, in the early stages of a new period of innovative community politics and social transformation. Local attempts are appearing all over the world, challenging systems of objectification, elitism, environmental destruction, and social alienation. Younger generations are hungry for a world that is capable of providing for their well-being. I have seen this most clearly in the rapid growth of civil society activism, particularly around issues of social and environmental justice in my own country. Let us do our utmost to encourage the transformation of our societies, to nurture a sense of global social solidarity. Let us create a politics of well-being that responds to our deepest desire to build a culture of peace, of lasting benefit to all of our communities and our nations. Thank you.